Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bruce Marshall. I'm going to be your game show host today for this afternoon's Corporate Jet Investor London edition of Whose Line Is It Anyway? I've assembled a panel here of improvisational artists who are going to answer questions concerning a randomly selected topic, and there'll be questions by myself and perhaps by the audience. When they're through with their presentation, then the audience will have a chance to judge and decide who the winner of our game is today. You folks ready to play?
Yep.
Okay.
Are we on the X Factor? I feel like it in this chair.
I'd like to start out by having our panel introduce themselves. Perhaps Andy, you can start and let us know who you are and what do you do.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Andy Hillier. I'm a co-founder and executive chairman of Dual Asset Underwriting. We're the world's largest global title insurer. We've been going for about 5 years, and very pleased to be here today. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kelly Lines, and I work for Andy at Dual Asset Underwriting. I'm the underwriting manager heading up the UK European team and also taking responsibility for our foray into the US title market.
I'm Clay Healey. I own AIC Title Service. My dream is to have had some kind of European title insurance available to everyone out there, and these are the people that finally made it happen. So for the years I've talked to you about it, this is the reality of what has come from a dream that I have had and the ability for them to provide a product to all of you all that will give the services that you need. Now, it's a little more than who I am, but that's why we're up here.
Well, not necessarily, Clay. We're actually going to pick some topics for you to talk about. And our topic category today is going to be creatures of myth and mystery. Creatures of myth and mystery. And included in that category are the Yeti, or abominable snowman, said to inhabit the regions of the Himalayas and Siberian regions of East Asia. We also have the unicorn from ancient Greek natural history, creature that is a magical creature with a protruding horn-like, spiral-like horn protruding from its forehead. We have the Loch Ness Monster, or affectionately known as Nessie, a creature inhabiting Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. And we also have Bigfoot, or Sasquatch. And this is a creature that dwells in the woodlands, particularly in the Pacific Northwest of North America, but has also been rumored to have been spotted at aviation industry events worldwide, and sometimes in pubs here, right here in London. And our last one, of course, is going to be aircraft title insurance. And that's a creature that is so mysterious and rare that no one's ever bothered to get a photograph of it or has been able to capture a photograph of it. So with that, we're going to do a selection of the topic today for our panel and hopefully narrow down these topics as to one that they might be able to talk about for our game. So here goes our topic selector. And it looks like it's going to be the unicorn or aircraft title insurance. And I'm going to leave it up to the panel to pick one of those two topics to talk about today.
Let's stay with title insurance. I think a unicorn is something I don't need to go down that road. So title insurance works. Let's go.
Is it unanimous?
Unanimous, yep.
Well, that's good. I think it's a good topic. I think it would be a very short afternoon if we were to talk about a unicorn. I've said everything I know about the subject. And so let's go on with aircraft title insurance. Clay, I'm going to start with the American product. And I know that at industry events from time to time, some myths are being perpetuated by people that I would politely say are either uninformed or misinformed persons that sometimes question whether or not the product exists, but they also question the ability of the existing U.S. provider to cover claims. And so perhaps you could answer the question, who is Avsure, and is that really just AIC Title Service?
First of all, it is not AIC Title Service. Holly, Healey, and the Frady's family actually own Avsure. I'm the master general agent, which makes a determination on all the underwriting and what will and will not be approved. It's currently reinsured through several different groups here in London. Fidelis is one, Swiss Re is the other, and Hanover Re. I just got through working with all the reinsurance groups the last 4 days to get some new treaties put together that will allow us to even do more and more aggressive planes. Last year we did a $100 million plane that was totally reinsured from ground up to give those people the confidence that they would be able to have someone pay a claim of $100 million if that plane was not properly owned. And that's the thing that this provides to people, is really the ownership knowledge that you know that you own that plane, and that you can go to sleep and know that you have an insurance company going to go fight on your behalf if there's a problem. Federal and state tax liens in America are something that come up quite often that we go defend our clients for. Somebody buys a plane in the middle of the year, they don't pay the tax, the other person ends up getting stuck with the tax from the previous year. So anyhow, those are the things that we fight almost every month on behalf of some of our clients. Can we pay a claim? We always have. We would never insure something that wasn't reinsured. So in other words, we're not stepping out there saying, I'm going to give you insurance on something that reinsurance hasn't already been purchased by a formal reinsurance company out of London.
So that really pretty much answers the question. If you were insuring a $30 million aircraft or a $50 million aircraft, and the ultimate problem happened where the title was challenged and someone acquired the title to that aircraft, there would be insurance coverage for that. It's not a illusory product, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You know, there was a fellow that came to this very conference about 2 years ago and talked about the coming of European title insurance, got everyone all excited about it, and then nothing happened. And so I guess my question today for Kelly and Andy is, is it here? Has it really arrived, and when did that happen?
Well, just before we talk about that, Bruce, why don't you just let Kelly just talk a little bit of background about Dual Asset and our company.
Thanks, Andy. So as Andy mentioned when he introduced himself, Dual Asset Underwriting was formed around 5.5 years ago. And it was essentially the old First Title team who were part of the First America group that left First Title and decided to set up their own company. So to begin with, we were founded by Andy, whose background is in property, and a chap called Phil Oldcorn, who used to be the CEO of First America's European operation. And basically, Phil and Andy decided that the European title insurance market needed to be shaken up a little bit, and everything was a little bit stagnant and boring, and they decided to form a new company, took most of the staff from First Title with them, and away we went in 2013. Now, one of the big things that was always on our agenda when we set up Dual Asset Underwriting was that we wanted to be innovative. We didn't just want to stick to doing what the normal title insurance market did. We started off with 6 underwriters, and as of last week, with our new Dublin hire, I believe we're up to 35 members of staff now. So we've grown really, really quickly in the last 5.5 years. Alongside our normal title to property product that we offer in the market, we also developed a title to share product, which is used for corporate M&A transactions. And then because of our title experience, it had always been at the back of Andy and Phil's mind that we could branch out into title to planes. So this was officially launched probably, I would say, 8 months ago, wasn't it? We partnered with Clay to offer this product, and it's going well at the moment. We've got a few deals on. At Dual Asset Underwriting, it's worth pointing out that we are a managing general agent, and this effectively means that when we're underwriting a deal for clients, the capacity isn't our own capacity, it's not our money. We have capacity providers that essentially give us a pen and allows us to underwrite on their behalf. The capacity for our aviation product comes from Fidelis, who is one of our biggest capacity providers. Clay mentioned that they do reinsurance for Clay as well. And the real good thing about Fidelis and their capacity for us as an MGA is that they actually signed an 8-year binder with us, which is pretty much unheard of in the MGA market. Normally, you have to get your binder signed every single year, but Fidelis believed in dual asset, the people and the products that they offer so much that that's why they signed the 8-year binder with us.
Thank you. Andy, can you tell us when the aircraft title insurance was launched, when the actually product became available, as well as maybe give us a little bit of information on some of the challenges and things that you faced in bringing this product to market?
Okay, well, as you quite rightly said, Bruce, at the beginning, the first challenge for Phil and I when we were thinking about additional products that we were going to bring to the market was actually knowing about Title to aircraft insurance. And it just happened that one day, an American turned up in our offices, in Fidelis's offices in the city, said he was looking for some insurance for Europe, and you know, as well as his dream, one of Phil's and my dreams came true as to a new product that we could launch in the European marketplace. But that was really just the start of it. I mean, one of the biggest challenges we have for any of you that understand the insurance market generally works on the basis of you take out your car insurance, and at the end of 12 months you renew it, and each year you write out a new policy. In the title market and in what Dual Asset offers in the title market, and now our Title to Planes, we're effectively offering perpetual policies. Obviously, if the plane changes hands or something like that, policy comes to an end. But during the lifetime ownership of the policy, or the lending of the policy, if you're a lender, then the policy is offered on a perpetual basis and not on a renewable basis. And that's a very, very strange concept for the insurance industry. As I said, most household insurances are offered on a renewal basis, and certainly the reinsurance that Clay talked about earlier on. In the London markets, which reinsure Avshore in the US, those are on a renewable basis as well. So trying to find somebody that will offer a perpetual policy in the marketplace is a very, very tricky thing. When Phil and I set up Dual Asset, which Kelly talked about earlier on, it took us nearly 15 months to find our first capacity, to find our first backer to offer the title insurance, because people just couldn't get their heads around the perpetual policies. Well, obviously, when Clay came in and talked to Phil and I about providing the title to planes, we had a ready-made partner in Fidelis that understood the perpetual policy nature and what we were trying to offer to the marketplace. And so that was probably, I would say, our biggest challenge, and would have been our biggest challenge had we just met Clay in a bar or something like that. And hadn't got the ability to offer those perpetual policies behind it. Other than that, talked a little bit more about what Clay said earlier on today, which was about just the fact that the product wasn't really known or was pretty much unheard of. But I think in terms of bringing it to the market, the perpetual policy was probably the biggest differentiator that would have been stopping us bringing it to the marketplace.
Okay, Andy, I think you've let me know that you've been involved in the title insurance industry for about 5 years now, and that you often hear from people that they never get asked about aircraft title insurance. And how would you answer this from the perspective of your background or backdrop of the property title market?
Well, so that's an interesting one, Bruce. I mean, actually, I'm probably speaking much more for my co-founder, Phil Alcorn, who's been involved in the industry for some 20 years. And I think as an illustration as to how the market in the title for property market has evolved, and why I think that's similar to the US, to the European title for planes market. And if I take you back and just bear with me for a few minutes. And I'm a chartered surveyor, as Kelly said, by background. I've been involved in property all of my life. And certainly if I go back sort of 25 years when I was definitely a lot thinner and probably a little bit better looking as well than I am now. I used to do property deals, and in those days, I'd find a property to buy, and I'd go and see my bank manager, and I'd sit in front of my bank manager, and I'd say, you know, John, this is what I'm thinking of doing next. You know, I need to borrow some money. And he'd look at me and he'd say, okay, let's talk through the property. He'd say, well, you know, this access doesn't look very good here to get to get into the property. The driveway doesn't look like it's owned by anybody else. What are you going to do about it? And I said, well, do you know, I don't think those people are really around anymore that own it. I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to get access across it. And he says, you know, okay, and it doesn't look like you own this piece of land next to it that you're going to actually build half your house on. And I'd say, yeah, but you know, nobody knows who it is. I think that's going to actually work out okay. And he'd look across the table at me and he'd say, well, actually, do you know, the last 3 or 4 deals that you've done, they've all come off and we found solutions for them. So here's the check, go off and do your development. Nowadays, nobody would operate like that. The whole essence of the property market, particularly in terms of the title, has changed. The general risk appetite in business has changed, especially amongst lenders. And if I could ever find a bank manager to go and see these days, which would be pretty unlikely in the way that things operate, the first thing that he would say is, well, where's your legal DD? Where's your report on title? And he'd just go through the report on title, and anything that the lawyers had picked out, on it, they just say, go and get some title insurance for it, because I'm not going to lend you any money unless you actually do that. And I think that's probably the position, certainly obviously as we are today, sitting here in Europe. And I think, you know, probably Clay was when he and some other people launched their title insurance companies in the US. The reason people don't ask for it is because A, they don't know about it at this stage in the cycle. They don't know it's in existence. And I think that as people become more aware of it, then you know, lenders and the likes, you know, will ask to take it out to make sure that they're covered, and that risk appetite is there. But we certainly see that, you know, all over the place. And I went recently to, I think it's eSpace with you and Clay in Zurich. And we talked to lots of people, and, you know, as I say, you quite rightly say, the answer to it is, well, we never get asked for it. And all I can say is, well, you know, that was how the property title market was 20, 25 years ago. Nobody asked for title insurance, and now virtually every transaction that takes place, you know, does have a title insurance policy with it.
Right, that's correct. From a U.S. perspective, title insurance got its start in the real estate industry back in the mid-1800s. And so it took 100 years before it became universally accepted and became an alternative to attorneys going through the musty old books in the registry offices and preparing an abstract of title and then rendering an opinion on that title. It became the alternative in the real estate market, yet it wasn't until the late 1980s that we actually saw the aircraft title insurance product. And when that product first arrived, it was really a very simple product. All it did was guarantee the search results that had been performed by a title company or an attorney. But by the latter part of the 1980s, First American Transportation Company jumped into the business and offered the first aircraft title insurance policy, an actual comprehensive policy that went beyond what was being, or beyond the FAA record and what was being offered at the time. And then one of their big competitors in real estate title insurance, Fidelity National, also jumped into the business and began offering a very comprehensive product. But then things changed in the U.S. market in 2008 when we had the economic downturn. First Fidelity decided, we want to get out of it. Our Fidelity National decided, we want to get out of this business. They sold their title company to AIC, and they exited the market. About that time, Avshar, who Clay talked about earlier, came on the scene in 2012. And within a year, when two of the largest agents for First American decided to back the Avshar product and start selling the Avshar product, First American also said, yeah, we're going to focus on our core business, go back to real estate, and they exited the market, leaving Avshar as the sole provider in the industry for a number of years until the arrival now of Dual offering an international product. Getting back to the international product, Kelly, I'm sure that you hear people say, why would I spend the money on a title insurance policy when I could just rely on the aircraft registration?
Yeah.
How would you answer that?
So on a property basis, I have this argument daily with lawyers. I think on an aircraft basis, to me, the simple answer is it really does go back to peace of mind. I like to use the analogy from a property deal. Why would a huge company pay $1 million to a Clifford Chance to undertake their due diligence on a property transaction? And it's because if something does go wrong on that transaction and they get hauled in front of the board of directors, they can sit there and say, oh, well, I used Clifford Chance, please don't fire me, I did everything possible. So if you know there is a product out there that would protect you in a catastrophic situation, then why would you not purchase it? And I think that's the key point to make here, is that this is a blue chip wrapper designed to complement the registration of the aircraft. And there are lots of things that the policy will cover that you could not expect somebody to pick up when they're providing a legal opinion on the process of registering the plane and providing any due diligence on it. If you go through AIC's pack that's outside, I was having a look through it earlier on, and it's your American policy compared to our international policy, but lots of the coverage is the same, and there's a really, really good handout in there which essentially tells you what would be covered under the owner's aircraft policy that goes over and above which would be covered if you just obtained a legal opinion.
Clay, you've had some actual experience with claims, though, from people making that risk decision, what happens when a claim's involved. Tell us about that. About a claim, yeah, when that happens.
Oh, yeah, we've had them. One of the very first planes that we actually did was we did some jets for a guy that was training, and there were 6 of them that were in that portfolio. They were going to be used to train, I can't even remember, Iraqi pilots or whatever to fly jets. Anyway, they took the data plates from the aircraft and they used the military data plates to go in and also register them at the FAA, and then they started to deport the planes off of the military data plates. So there's about $6 million worth of planes that they were getting ready to ship offshore when somebody in the hangar actually saw them start dismantling them, and they called the owner. And then we had to go fight on behalf of that client to get him put in a nice, well, I guess they use red suits for people that are felons. So they put him in a red suit down in Florida and put him away. That's the worst one that we've had. In the last few months, we've had to go defend 2 state tax liens, 1 federal lien. So we have to do that quite often for a lot of our clients. It's not a big announcement that we make about claims and things where we're defending our policyholders, but that's the goal of why you have insurance. And you don't buy insurance so you can just sit there and think it's going to do something for you. You want to know when you have a problem, it's going to defend you. I mean, that's like saying I have life insurance and I die and I don't get anything paid back. That's insane. This pays for your clients to be able to have that protection that they need to have. And it's just, I mean, you can't cut it any other way. Over a period of time, as with land, sooner or later, every one of you are going to have to buy title insurance if you're buying or selling a plane that has a lien on it. I mean, how many banks do we have in here? Put your hand up. One? We have one bank in this whole room? Seriously? I know that's wrong. There you go. I know who you are, so come on. They don't. I do. That's what it does. It protects the owners of every one of the people that end up buying a plane. I've owned 15 planes, me. Not my companies, not my other things, Clay Healey. So I'm passionate about aviation. I'm passionate about knowing who has the right information. And that's why AIC works so diligently to put together all the different products that we have. And part of the product that we're bringing to the marketplace is having Dual be able to provide all of you all product into the European marketplace and beyond just the European marketplace. That might be something Andy might want to talk about. It's not just where it's going to be, where can you get a policy? So, Bruce, I'm going to take your spot and let somebody answer that question.
Yeah, and I think that was my next question was for Andy. Well, one, where is it being made available today? What were the decisions behind where you chose to have a launch market?
Just before I cover that, Bruce, just one more thing. I think just on the claims side of things and the way that the policy operates and the reason that I believe that it's something that's of interest to the marketplace, a bit like our title policies. So when there is a claim on a title policy and the title to the planes policy, one of the interesting things is that claim may have originated from an error. There's, as Kelly was saying, from the lawyers that were doing or looking at the registration. But from a client point of view and from the insured's point of view, what's interesting is it's much easier. You're effectively giving up that, giving up the ability to go to the lawyer for a PI claim, but you're coming to us to pay the claim, and then it's our responsibility, if we want to then go back over that, go back to the lawyer to look at the PI claim and to see whether there's any merits in that. But you as the insured have the knowledge and the ability to come to us, and without having to prove that negligence as to what's going on, it suddenly becomes an insured event under the policy. And I think that's a very important thing. When you've got a claim on something, what you want is the ability to move it on quickly and not get bogged down in a massive legal undertaking as to how it's going to be. And so certainly on our title, on our property side of it, we find that as a very good way of dealing with things. And I think the way that the title policy operates on the planes as well is good. So where does the policy operate? Well, obviously when Clay came to see us, he wanted a policy for his European clients to supplement what they were buying in the US and to supplement the work that AIC was doing. And so predominantly we launched it as really a European product. It was a place that we felt ourselves and our carrier Fidelis felt comfortable with. I think the reality of it is that subject to guidance from Clay and his underwriting team, we'd pretty much look at a number of jurisdictions outside of Europe. We're just doing a portfolio of planes at the moment where there are a number of South African registered planes, which we're going to be covering under the policy. I think we did have a Thailand one, didn't we? We probably decided that. I think you were quite keen to do that, Clay, but I think it was probably a Thailand.
Oh, we'll do it.
Yeah, I think it was just at this stage, it's probably a step too far for ourselves and Fidelis, but certainly the South African ones we were very happy to look at and consider under the underwriting for that portfolio. So
potentially this product is going to be available in future markets that haven't been addressed now. Maybe either Andy or Kelly, maybe you can answer this one. What would be the types of factors that would keep keep you from insuring in a particular market?
So we work very closely with Fidelis, our capacity provider, and Fidelis is very much about the deal. If the deal feels good and the deal looks good, they're quite happy to provide insurance, but it always will come down to licensing restrictions and where they're licensed to operate. So I think there's only a few that are not quite good. Brazil, Mexico, a couple of Middle Eastern, China, Russia. But there's times before we've gone to them with a Brazilian deal on property, and we've talked it through with them, and they've been happy to do it. So as long as we're licensed to operate there, then hopefully we'll find a way to do it.
Yeah, I just back that up. I think license to operate, but also the judicial system in the country that we're looking at, and that's certainly how we base our title to property. The DD reports could be very good coming out of, the Ukraine or somewhere like that. But, if we get a claim, have we really got a judicial system there that is going to be able to properly support us in looking at what we're trying to resolve? And so I think licensing and judicial system are the two key areas that would make us look as to whether we wanted to do something.
Okay, we've got about 4 minutes left, and I'd like to use this time to ask anyone here on the panel, are there any other myths or mysteries about aircraft title insurance that you'd like to address while you still have an opportunity?
Well, a myth is that it doesn't exist. It does exist, and it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It provides benefits to the clients that purchase it. It allows them to sleep at night. Quite frankly, the fact that anybody that would buy an asset that probably cost more than most of their homes that wouldn't insure it for its ownership is beyond me. So if you're going to look at a myth, that would be the myth that I think people need to realize is that it does exist, and quite frankly, you want to do it. One quick sidebar. Don't pub crawl too late tonight, because it's 9:10 in the morning. There's going to be another panel up here, and we're going to be talking about the International Registry. You might want to come hear that one. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know that I've got any more myths or mysteries about it, but what I would say is would encourage people to come and talk to Clay or Kelly or I about what you're doing. This is a new product that we've launched in Europe at the moment. If you look at the way we launched our title to property market product, 5.5 years ago, lots of things have changed in that since we're very responsive within reason to what the marketplace is telling us that they need, and to the things that are important. The way of putting it in place if you're transacting or lending to lots of aircraft over a period of time. So I think that's really what I'd just like to sort of finish up and say is that, very responsive and really happy to sit and look with people about how the product can be made to fit in with the work and the transactions that you're doing.
Kelly, anything that you'd like to add?
It just kind of tags on to what Clay said, really. I think the myth is that you don't need this type of insurance, but like Clay said, you do. And you will never realize that until something comes and bites you on the bum, really. I think there's quite a lot of suspicion around title policies, and I think a lot of that goes to sometimes people don't always understand what it's actually covering, how they would claim in the event of a loss, and would they actually really be paid out in the event of a claim. But we definitely pay claims. You definitely do need the cover. And like Andy said, you should come and talk to any one of us about what the product can actually do for you.
That's interesting, because I think it's one thing that lenders and financiers don't understand is that the product itself is really complementary to the whole insurance. So if they have a loan in place and they're requiring their debtor owner to carry hull coverage because they want to protect their collateral if something happens, if that airplane's in an accident, the piece they're missing is that if the title to that aircraft is lost, or if the priority of their lien is somehow lost, they've only insured half of the equation. So they're really complementary products that can work together. And I think that concludes our presentation. For 5,000 points and free drinks at the cocktail reception this evening, who's our winner here? Any vote on Andy? Anyone in favor of Andy? How about Kelly? We got a couple hands out there, don't we? I can't see that far into the back of the room. How about Clay? Well, you know what? I think I'm going to declare everyone here today a winner, and compliments of JSSI. You can all have a free drink at the cocktail reception this evening. Thank you.